Hey there, in this video I'm going to show you 5 advanced setups for Notion. Alright, so the first setup we have is based around databases. More specifically, linked databases and relational databases. And on the page here, I have 3 different sections. I have a section for personal projects, a section for work projects, and a section for custom views. So let's jump into the personal tasks page. And as you can see, I have a very simple table setup with each entry in the table as a task, with some due dates and priorities. But if you notice right here under the project field, these tasks inside of this table database are linked to entries in a totally separate table database in a totally separate page. So as you can see here, we have winter checklist as a project. We're gonna back out and go into personal projects. And as you can see, winter checklist is right here. And you can even see the tasks that are connected to it. Relational databases are just a convenient way to not only keep your projects and tasks separate in different tables or pages, but setting it up like this gives both your projects and your tasks their own page. So if you need to add more information like subtasks or notes or links, you can add them to both your project pages and your task pages in a completely separate manner. And if we back out of here and go into work, you can see we have work projects here with associated clients. Once again, we're using relational databases for the clients, connecting them to the projects here. And let's back out and dive into the clients page. And as you can see, here is the relational database field for projects, tying these clients to these projects. And just like I said before for tasks and projects, not only will this give your projects their own page, but this will also give your client entries their own page as well, allowing you to add notes and tasks and information associated with your clients that may not have anything to do with a particular project that they're related to. And last but not least, if we back out of here and go into views and click on the Due This Week page, I have 2 linked databases here. A linked database is basically the same thing as a link page. The only difference in Notion between the two is that a link page is basically like a shortcut link that redirects you to the original location of the page you're going to. But with linked databases, the block actually reveals the table right in front of you instead of just the title of the table. And in this example here, I have filters set for tasks and projects that are due within 7 days based on their due date field. And if we back out of here and click on high priority, I've done the same thing here in this page. I've added 2 linked databases for our tasks and projects, but I've added filters to only show tasks and projects that have the high priority. All right, that's it for setup number 1. Let's move on to the next one. And for setup number 2, I'm going to show you a handful of examples centered around embed and media blocks. Let's dive into a page here. So inside this new project page, I have a dual panel setup, the top half of the page being used for embed and media blocks, and the bottom half of the page being used for a board database. Now I've purposely left these embed blocks blank just to give you an idea for a template. You can actually create embed and media blocks without uploading or attaching anything to them, and Notion leaves you with these nice gray little rectangles. So even if you don't have to upload anything right now, using blank embed and media blocks is just a great idea to use as a placeholder, as a reminder for you to add stuff later. Now in this example, I just have the embed and media blocks under 3 columns here. Now you can also throw these blocks inside of a toggle if you have a lot of blocks and you just want to clean up the look of this page here. Or you can even turn this toggle block into a page. This would be a great idea if you wanted an entire page full of PDF scans, handwritten notes, or embedded Google Docs. But you didn't want all that stuff cluttering up this project view that we have here on this page. And let's hop back to the main directory here. And we're going to dive into the task page. Now on the other page we were just in, we had tasks separate from embed and media blocks, but in this page we're using embed and media blocks as tasks themselves, and I've relabeled the columns here to reflect that. And of course, if you need to add a task that doesn't need an embed or a media block, you can still do that right here. This setup is a simple alternative to using a table database if you don't feel like you need a database, and if you just want to avoid any unnecessary complexity. And just like I mentioned before, this would make a great template as I've left all the embed and media blocks blank. And let's jump back here. Alright, let's jump into a project-specific setup here. And on the page here we have a travel-based project for a wedding. As you can see, I have notes, tasks, and an embed block for Google Maps. Essentially the same idea as the other pages, just a different configuration. And once again, this would make a great template page, making use of those blank media and embed blocks. Alright, let's back out to the main page again. And let's dive into another project-specific page. Click on songwriting. And just like with the task page from earlier, you can do the same thing for creative projects. You can upload or link to your song ideas and then move them around in this simple board style layout, and you can even listen to your ideas without ever leaving the screen. Or you can embed other musicians' songs for your inspiration. And I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, this page will make another great template, making use of those blank audio file blocks. And let's back out to the main page again. And let's just jump into our last project-specific page. And just as before, you can do the same thing, but for keeping track of your learning. In this example, we have video and bookmark embed blocks. And I'm going to say it one more time, this could potentially be a template. All right, let's back out of here, and I'm going to show you one more page. So this is a bonus. Now, some of you might already be aware of this. Whether you're on your desktop or on your mobile device, you can actually click on this plus button here to quickly add a new page inside of the page that this plus button is next to, which is a great nifty little feature that Notion has given to us, and I am very grateful for it. However, I thought of a neat little trick to save you some time and frustration when you're on the go. As you can see, I've set up a template generator here. I'm going to go ahead and generate a new template. Now from the start, this new note page that was generated from that template has placeholder blocks for you to upload files and images. Now on your desktop or your laptop, this may not be a big deal, but using this template technique on your mobile device will save you just a little bit of time, maybe a little bit of frustration. And what's also nice is these placeholder blocks, they just show you where the photo is going to go. All right, that's it for setup number 2. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, so for setup number 3, I'm going to show you some examples centered around page links. I'm going to hop into personal, then I'm going to hop into projects. And on the page here, I just have some projects organized by category using subheaders, and I've added some color to make it a little vibrant. Now let's go back to the personal page and dive into organized by status. And inside of this page, I'm using page links to organize the same pages in a different manner. So if you recall from the last page we were in, and these little arrows here, just letting you know that these are not the original pages. If you click inside of them, they will not be located inside of this organized by status page, but that by clicking on these, Notion will redirect you to the original location where these pages live. Think of this page as like another view inside of a database, but without the actual database. This is just a simpler version that achieves the same thing. And yeah, sure, it takes a little bit more time to set up, but if you're not a fan of databases or you don't feel like you need them, or maybe you don't need them all the time, then this is a good alternative. Also, page links retain the same color of the original page, as you can see here. Alright, let's back out to the personal page and let's dive into overview. And inside this overview page, I'm just combining page links with other blocks like tasks and bookmarks. This page is just an example of how you can keep track of your current tasks, notes, and projects all in one place, and also still keep your project pages separate and organized outside of this page. Which is nice because if you decide to change this page up later, or maybe you decide you don't need it anymore, making changes to this page or deleting it altogether won't affect the projects that are linked inside of this page. And let's back out of personal, dive into the work page we have here, and let's dive into projects. And as you can see, we have 3 different teams with their own projects. And in addition to individual projects, each team has a page for a dashboard. In this example, that dashboard is monthly metrics. And just keep in mind that these 3 pages are separate. Every page inside of this projects page is the original. And let's go back to work. And let's jump into organize by context. And we just have another example where I've used page links and organized them inside of categories, just like you saw before with the personal section. This just gives you another view in a sense. And if we jump back out to work again and jump into the dashboard page, I've created page links for each team's individual monthly metrics dashboard, and I've combined them into this one dashboard page, which essentially gives you like a master dashboard. And just another bonus tip, if you decide to use tables for these team dashboards, then you can use a linked database in here instead, and you can see all 3 tables inside of here and one page all at the same time. All right, let's move on to the next setup. So setup number 4 revolves around comments and mentions. And though at first glance these things may not seem like they're that special, there are definitely a handful of useful things you can do with them. Let's dive into the travel planner here I have under personal projects. Now as of right now, Notion doesn't have a reminder as an entire block, but we can still add reminders to the end of blocks to create makeshift reminder blocks. And on the page here I have 3 bullet blocks under the reminders subheader. And you see those dates and times in blue? Well, those are reminders. And the dates and times below, under the tasks and schedule subheaders, those are just regular date mentions. If you notice, they're gray instead of blue, and they don't have the clock icon next to them. It's also important to note that when a reminder is past due, it will turn red, just to let you know that a reminder has triggered a notification and to make sure it catches your attention. We can also use reminders to create a minimalistic schedule without using a calendar database. For example, under the schedule subheader here, I'm using toggle blocks, which just allow you to add some more information inside these events if you need to, and you can just click on that arrow and close that toggle block right up. And we can also add mentions to tasks as well. Just type the name of the task, hit the spacebar, and then add a mention by typing the @ symbol. And if you need to change the date or time, just click on the mention, and Notion will bring you a pop-up window where you can make changes as needed. Now, as you probably already know, you can add a note to a task by simply clicking on the task, pressing the Enter key on your keyboard, hitting the Delete key, typing a note, and then pressing the Tab key. Now, wherever we move this task, that note is associated with it. However, there is a better way. Instead, you could take advantage of comments to add information to your task without adding any bulk. And if you notice, this task here is highlighted in yellow. Keep in mind that this is not the same as using a color background. For example, I'll show you right now, if we change the color to yellow, adding a color background actually colors the entire block, whereas a comment only colors over the text. And if we click on this highlighted task here, Notion will bring you a pop-up showing you all the comments associated with it. Adding notes to a task using this comment method just looks cleaner. Plus, the comment window lets you resolve each comment, which essentially treats these comments as subtasks. And if you're working on a project with others, you can use the @ symbol inside of a comment to create a mention for another person on your Notion workspace if you need to get their attention. All right, let's hop out of here and go to Daily Planner. And in this example, I basically took what I had in the travel page and used the same idea to create a productivity dashboard or start page, which I'm just calling Daily Planner in this example. Now in this Daily Planner page, I've taken the same ideas from the travel example I just showed you and used those ideas to create an entire productivity dashboard. As you can see, we have reminders, tasks, schedule, notes, and bookmarks. Once again, making use of makeshift reminders, adding dates and times to our tasks, using toggle blocks for events, and I've used some embed blocks for my bookmarks. All right, let's get out of here and go back to the main page, and let's dive into a work project. Why don't we go into Sales Team? So Notion is also great for teams sharing a workspace page, like in this example. Notion lets you add comments to the top of the page, right here, which they call discussion comments. And this feature is great for general comments or comments that don't apply to a specific project or task inside of this page. I've also created a section here called discussion threads. Notion, as of right now, doesn't have a chat block or a chat thread block, but you can use comments on top of topics to create your own simple makeshift chat interface that could potentially replace apps like Slack or Twist if you want to keep everything together or you feel like you don't need them, or maybe you just can't afford to pay for additional apps right now. And if we click on the comment icon here, Notion will bring up the comment window, and yeah, your whole team could potentially dive into a long discussion here over a specific topic. And when you're done with that topic, resolve the comments and just check it off. And below discussion threads, we have tasks. And just like before, if you'd rather not use databases, you can use mentions alongside your tasks. In this particular example, I've actually added divider lines between mentions to give each task a neat but more dynamic feel. For example, I have the task name, who it's assigned to, when it's due, and a reminder, all within one block. And just another idea for you, you can add mentions for people who aren't yet on Notion as a placeholder for when they eventually create their account and join your workspace. And even though doing so doesn't actually make the mention clickable, it still works as a nice placeholder and just as a reminder that they're not on Notion yet and they probably should be. So every time you see a mention that's not gray, well, send them an email, send them a text, and tell them what they're missing out on. And finally, we have a inline table here called meetings. Using a table is a great idea for your meetings because not only can you keep track of the date as if they were calendar events in a calendar, but you can also open up each meeting and add notes during the meeting or afterwards. But if you notice, I'm not using the regular date field inside this table. I'm actually using a regular text field so that I can use reminders instead, which is why these dates are blue and have the clock icon. And since you can't use a person field inside a database for a person who isn't part of your workspace yet, just use the mention placeholder so you can still know who the meeting is assigned to and to let you know that they don't have an account yet since the mention is not colored gray. Alright, that's it for this page. Let's back out of here. And let's dive into editorial calendar. So yeah, I just got some bonus tips for you in this last page here. You can use mentions inside of header blocks, which is pretty cool that they let you do this. And color actually applies to mentions as well. The only difference being that mentions will look a little bit more faded than regular blocks that are colored. And if your mind's not blown enough yet, well, you can actually use reminders inside of page titles. And if you notice here, inside of this page title, I have a @reminder for myself and a reminder that's past due, colored red, which is pretty cool. I was experimenting and I didn't actually think this was gonna work, but yeah, here you go. All right, that's it for this setup. Let's move on to the fifth and final setup. All right, so for the final setup, we're focusing on templates. Now, if you're familiar with templates, you might view them as a fancy way to duplicate pages. However, let me show you a few ways that templates can boost your productivity even further. Let's dive into the personal page. And as you can see, we have a new project template block. When we generate a new project, dive into that. And as you can see here, I just have 3 panels inside of this project. I have a toggle block for project details. I have a list of tasks and I have a list of notes. So yeah, this is a really simple template. It might save you a little bit of time and maybe for certain projects, you really don't need any more than this. But let me show you another example. I'm gonna jump out of here and go into work. And let's create a new project, dive into that. So as you can see, I actually have template blocks inside of this template. Now let's just say this is a new project you're gonna use for work. Every project's probably gonna have tasks, notes, and resources, but not every project's gonna be for the same thing. So I've created 3 sub-templates here. One for client projects, one for corporate projects, and an extra one for special projects. So why don't we generate a client project? And once again, I have some more template generators inside of this project. Now let's back out of here, go back to the new project template page. And maybe it's on a client project, maybe it's a corporate project. So why don't we generate that? And as you can see, it looks different. We have different stuff here. Maybe for corporate-based projects, you're gonna need some department resources and documents. So let's go back to the main project page here. And let's just say it's the corporate project. So what we can do here is we can actually delete this stuff. Now you could keep this stuff in this separate page, or if you want to see everything on the same page, we can turn this page block into a toggle block. And boom, there's all your stuff organized in the same way that we saw it inside the page. So yeah, by using templates inside of templates for sections of a project, every template will save you time and frustration no matter how small or trivial. And whatever templates you don't need, well, you can just delete them. Keep in mind the whole point of this setup is to save you time, increase your efficiency, and to avoid you reinventing the wheel over and over again. So yeah, in the big picture of things, no matter where you are inside your Notion account, you could have a template ready to go, and it's just one less headache for you to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to be putting out a lot more Notion videos very soon. That's clearly what you guys want to see, and that's cool. I love Notion too. And yeah, let me know in the comments below what type of Notion videos or any videos you want to see next. And also, feel free to subscribe. You don't want to miss the next one. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.